What's up, Game Leapers? It's Panther, and today we're going to talk about the 4 things that you need to be doing in order to prepare your account for the end of season. For those of you who have yet to join us, make sure to check out our website, GameLeap.com. Remember, end of season is approaching very quickly, and if you're looking to improve your gameplay or learn a champion before that happens, our website's going to be the fastest way to do that. Go ahead and click the link in the description now to sign up. Now, without further ado, let's get right into that first tip, and this is going to be by far the most important. You need to be dodging bad games. If you are not doing this right now, you are absolutely ruining your chances of climbing. You need to make sure that you are utilizing your dodges. They are free and everyone else is also abusing it. So if you decide you don't want to use your dodges, then guess what? You're just putting yourself at a disadvantage compared to everyone else. If you need even more to persuade you that dodges are completely OP, Riot even buffed them this patch. They made a very small competitive change that makes it so that your matchmaking is more based off of your MMR rather than your visible rank. When you dodge, your LP goes down, but your MMR does not. This means that you're still going to be matched with the same players even though you have a lower LP value, and guess what? Since your MMR is higher, you're going to gain more LP. So, how do we determine what is and is not a bad game? First, we need to check for any trolls. Remember, the end of the season is a terrifying place to play. There are so many trolls you don't want to deal with, right? People who have just had awful end of seasons and they give up, so they pick Ghost Cleanse Nunu, or they decide, my role sucks, I need to play a different role in order to climb, and then they're first timing support Alistar. What we're going to do is we're going to use an app like op.gg to just copy paste the lobby straight into the search bar. This will spit out a bunch of info that you can use to determine whether or not a player is autofilled, if they've been trolling in all of their games, if they've been playing well, if they've been playing like garbage, if they picked their low 20% win rate character. All of these things are things that you can use to determine whether or not this will be a good dodge. What I personally classify as a good dodge is if, 1, my character was banned. If I'm a one-trick and my character is banned, I just dodge. It's not worth playing something that I myself don't have a high win rate on. I don't want to be forced into that. 2, if there are any trolls on a team. If somebody has 20 deaths in their past 4 games, just don't play with them. 3, look for multiple autofills. If there's just one autofill, sometimes you can get away with that. But if you're playing with 3 autofilled players, it's just not going to work. And finally, 4, you're going to want to try to avoid any accounts with win rates lower than 30% overall, or people playing champions that they have lower than 30% over a wide number of games. So if you have 30% win rate over 40 games, this is a red flag. Yes, maybe they are unlucky, but we don't want to take that risk. It's important to remember that you only have 3 dodges for the day. You want to make sure that you're not going over that number. After the 3rd dodge, you will get locked out for the rest of the day. So 3 dodges a day. Remember, our goal here is to make League of Legends as little of a casino as possible. This leads us straight into our second tip, which is a tip so powerful that they had to completely remove it in Master Plus. That's right, you cannot do it in high elo. That is how broken Riot deemed this. This, of course, is making sure that we're trying to duo in as many games as possible. This is going to do quite a few things. Obviously, you get to play with a player that you're comfortable with, but the most important thing, that's kind of like a hidden tip about duoing, is you get to avoid the trolls. You are changing your odds of getting a troll from 4 random players to just 3 random players. You also are going to double the amount of dodges that you have. Instead of having 3 dodges for a day, you can get up to 6. And if that duo has multiple accounts in the same MMR bracket, then you could potentially have unlimited dodges. Duoing is going to allow you to play more games and get higher quality games on average while playing with somebody who's going to have a similar mindset and play style to you. If you look at any of my high win rate videos that I've done in the past on the channel, they all abuse duoing. Why? Because it is overpowered. People will readily admit in the comments section of these videos that duoing is part of the reason why I won so many games, but are less likely to duo themselves. Why this is, I don't know. But if you are not duoing, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You need to be doing it. Tip number 3, we want to make sure that we're playing as close to peak hours as possible. Now, the obvious benefit that this gives is it's going to give you lower queue times, but the less obvious and more important benefit is that of higher quality games. You're less likely to get players further away from your MMR bracket during peak hours, and you're also less likely to get players that are autofilled. And these are two things that highly impact the quality of the games. Now, as far as personal experience goes, I also think that it does lower the amount of trolls that you get, but this may simply be due to my experience playing Diamond solo queue at 3 a.m. Let me tell you, one of the worst experiences of my life. I do not recommend it whatsoever, especially if it's Smurf queue. I've never been flamed into a player AFKing so many times before. It consistently happened. Try to play close to peak hours to avoid any of this occurring. Finally, tip number 4 is you're going to want to abuse whatever OP champions are on this patch. Remember, these are the world patches, so there are going to be less changes on these patches than in normal patches. So if something is strong, then it's probably going to be strong for the next month to month and a half. This means you have so much time to learn the champion, so if you don't play the champion right now, don't let that deter you from not wanting to play it, okay? You have time to learn it before the end of the season, and if it doesn't get nerfed before the end of the season, there's your free low. Do not be afraid to learn a new champion right now. You can check out our tier list for a bunch of OP champions in each and every role, or if you think that you have something that's just hidden OP, abuse that and don't tell anyone. Personally, I think Renekton has been hidden OP for like a year now, and I'm not telling anyone that. Well, I just did, but I mostly keep that to myself until now. Please don't nerf Renekton. Just for a quick recap, tip number 1, we want to make sure that we're utilizing our dodges. We get 3 dodges every single day. We want to be using those if we have to. Tip number 2, we want to make sure that we're dueling. This is going to give us incredible odds of winning pretty much any game, and in fact is probably one of the most overpowered things that has ever existed in League of Legends. Tip number 3, make sure you're playing close to peak hours. This is going to give you higher quality games overall. And finally, tip number 4, play what is OP on the patch, okay? You're going to be able to abuse this for a long time, potentially even up until the actual end of the season. There will be some of you in the comments that don't want to use these tips to climb, but it is important to remember that no matter what way you use to climb, you're actually going to see more results no matter what. And the reason why is because you are going to play against better players the higher you climb, which will punish the mistakes that you make, which will then make you a better player. So even if you initially climb using something that you don't think is an honest way of climbing, it still will make you a better player in the long run. If I spend a year playing against diamond players versus a year playing against Faker, I'm going to come out as a lot better of a player if I'm playing against Faker for an entire year straight, right? So we want to use every advantage that we have to climb as quickly as possible so that we can then climb even quicker. It is a chain reaction. That is all that I have for you for today's video. If you haven't already, make sure to check out our website, GameLeap.com. Over there, we've got hundreds of guides covering just about everything. You can sign up today using the link in the description below. As always, I'm Panther. I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next video.